I grew up Mormon, and I did not know who Christ was in that because I was born into it. So I didn't have an option to find out who Christ was. I was baptized at 8 years old based on, being in the church. That's what you're supposed to do. And for me, I started questioning it very early, even before my baptism. Not knowing, who Joseph Smith was, why do I have to just go get married and have a child and when I'm 18, and what is baptisms for the dead? I was just always questioning. And so when I was 13, I decided to leave. I moved to California to live with my dad. And when I lived there, there was no opportunity to have any relationship with any type of spiritual being. It was really lonely. I didn't like it. So then I moved back here to finish high school after a couple years. And at that time, that's when I knew I wanted to go to a college that had a faith-based component. So I was looking at GCU, CCU, and I think TCU at the time. And ultimately, I settled on GCU because, A, it's close by, which was nice and affordable, but I also felt like that's where God was calling me. When I was a freshman, I lived on campus. I got to live in the dorms and be a part of life groups, which is small groups on campus, and that's where I was gifted my first Bible. At that time, I started really discovering who Jesus was in my own personal relationship, where I didn't before, and I chose to be baptized in April of 2013 on Easter, because that significance of him dying for me was the reason why I wanted to give my life to him. That was a really important day because my parents actually came. I was really surprised because, again, them being Mormon, I didn't think they would come, but they did, and they supported me in that, and that was really special. So after about 4 years at GCU, I was on fire in and out going with different groups and going to church, and the church that I was a part of disbanded. The pastor just said, "I'm not doing this anymore, goodbye." And instead of appointing another person to lead the church, he just left. And that left me heartbroken because I didn't know where to go from there. I'd never had that happen in my life, and I felt like my community was crumbling. I was graduating college without a church, and I didn't even know where to go, which led me to a lot of drinking and partying in the real world. After I graduated college, I was always going to happy hour after work and dabbled in drugs, and I was sexually assaulted a few times because of those bad decisions. And on my 25th birthday, I got a DUI. I didn't hurt anyone, thank the Lord, and I didn't hurt myself, but it was the wake-up call I really did need for him to tell me that he's here. I had been questioning for a while when I was partying if God was still in my life, and I had to learn the hard way that he was. I was ashamed. I cried a lot. I wanted to kill myself, and I went and talked to Pastor Brian Bloom about it. He's my next door neighbor, and he told me to come to church. He said, "You need to sit down and you need time to pray." And when I came that week and Pastor Dan was asking if anybody wants to have Jesus be the leader of your life, I raised my hand so high, and I just knew that that was the time, that there was no other time but now if I was actually going to do it. I had been questioning if he was real and active in my life, and him saving me in that awful instance was when I knew he was the leader of my life, and I needed to back my trust into that. And that was really hard because I was admitting that, again, I'm not in control of my life, but that's okay, that I need help. And I'm so glad because I had to go to like 36 hours of DUI counseling for alcohol abuse, and I realized a lot of things about my life at that time too. And I was able to then share some of my testimony in those groups that I was able to do this through Christ, and Christ alone. So I spent 8 days in jail, in and out, on work release, and I was actually preaching my testimony because I realized that he had changed my heart for the better, and I wanted others to experience that. If it wasn't for Pastor Brian Bloom and Arthur Brown coming to me and letting me know that it's okay to not be okay and that God will be here for me, I don't know where I'd be right now. I actually had made a suicide attempt during that time, and I'm just really glad that God woke me up. He picked me up off the ground to tell me that it's going to be all right. And after my time in jail, I realized that I needed to get back out and serve and help others because there were people out here that were helping me. And since April of last year, I've been serving in the Resource Center here at Pure Heart Glendale, and it's been the best thing that's ever happened. I've met some really great friends. Arthur and Angel and Pastor Bob are some of my closest friends, and we got to go on the Navajo Nation mission trip together, and I just so appreciate them loving me with open arms and giving me the opportunity to give back to the people in need. Every week, getting to see new people come in for food and blessing them with opportunities so that they can have a better life is so inspiring that, for me, this is where I know I'm home. I know I belong here. I know that God is real, that he's continuing to watch over me and my family, and I wouldn't change it any other way. If you could ask me to go back in time, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't be saved. I wouldn't be who I am. And my name means steward, so I'm a stewardess, and so I am here to serve, and so I want to live out that calling in every capacity. I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus Christ as my Redeemer because he has shown me that I am not myself without him. I know what I'm like without God and without Christ in my life, and I don't like who that person is. I see him actively changing in my life. I want to be out there serving others. My demeanor, my conviction, my love for other people is different than when I wasn't a believer. I tithe because I know that that's what's going to the community, not because I have to. You know, I want to spread the gospel because I want others to know how I feel. And I feel his joy, I feel his peace and his presence in my life, and I want other people to feel that. And if he wasn't real, then I wouldn't feel this way. And I know that this is not a human desire or a human thing that I've made up in my head, because it would just be too good to be true. And since he saved me in that moment, in my accident, I know that he exists. And I know that he's watching over me.
I don't know if we'll use this, but it might be a little bit interesting. Can you just share a little bit about loving your family? Because you kind of mentioned they came and supported me. So the struggle of because there's probably people that are out there that are like, hey, I'm in a place faith-wise that it's hard for my family to relate to.
Yeah.
Maybe that's kind of how.
Yeah, I think that's great. So since my family is LDS Mormon, they still are to this day. I am the only one in my direct family in Arizona that's not. It has made it hard over the years to feel comfortable sharing my faith. But I've asked a lot for prayer so that God would help me pray for them and pray for healing. And because of that prayer, because of coming with conviction to just love them, it has made it easier for us to get along. When I was struggling after my DUI, I would go and talk to Pastor Brian, and I knew that him and Megan always had the best intentions for my family. They'd always be praying, for the love too that would come, because obviously that's a hard situation. I was very ashamed with my Mormon parents that they would never talk to me again. So I was just really grateful that the Blooms always prayed that they would still love on me despite the circumstances. And those were answered, because my parents and I are still really close to this day, even after everything. And they actually watch sometimes online with me. And my sister and her brother, or sister and brother-in-law, they actually came with me to Christmas Eve service. So having a community, even small and mighty, around you is really helpful. And I wouldn't be here today without it.
Can you talk about a little bit of just for you shared a little bit of evangelizing in the bunks, but what does sharing your faith look like in your life?
Yeah. So a really cool thing is I get to work at GCU in career services. So I work now with employers to hire GCU students. And so the best part for me at work is I actually get to share my testimony with employers and let them know not only I am an alumni, but I'm also a Christian as well. And this is a big impact for me in my life, that, the people that we work with also can, be Christians or share their testimony, be open with students. So I like to share that with people I work with, but then also the people that are in my inner circle, friends that are not of the faith. I always like to tell them about, my opportunities serving, and share, different opportunities that I have had with my friends at church, even if it's us just going to dinner or something like that. And my dad in California, he's been very inspired. He's agnostic at this time, and he's been watching how much I've been serving here at Pure Heart, and he said when he retires, he wants to come down here and serve here too. So that's been really inspiring, because I never thought that he would want to come to church. He came with me to Christmas Eve in 2019, but that he wants to serve, that tells me that God is working in my life. God is showing his love for his people through me. And that's why I continue to serve too, because I not only want to honor him, but I want to help others in the community know who he is. He's using me in a variety of ways to say who he is to others. And whatever that looks like, if it's serving or if it's me being able to be at the grocery store and share a smile, I really feel like when I'm joyful, I know that that's his joy, because he gave that to me. No one else did. I wouldn't be here today without him. And I want others to know that, like, if you're in a dark place, it's okay to cry. It's okay to ask for help. But know that there will be joy at the end. I'm living proof of that.